All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the BSB. We're once again, as always, excited to be back for our Week 7 edition of the 2021 season of the BSB. I'm Sean Kaus.
I'm Tony James.
And we are your betting strategy brothers. Just a quick reminder, we are here to teach you guys, to help you guys. We are going to make picks. We are going to tell you what we are going to tell you what we think. But we do not guarantee anything that we tell you. This is truly for entertainment purposes only. But we are hoping that us being teachers by trade can help you feel a little more confident placing bets, whether it's on your app or at the window. And one thing I can say too is a big thank you to all of you. We've got a ton of you that keep listening every week and keep texting and keep talking. It's great. I love it. I got this and that, and I love it, and I'm so happy, and I love talking football and betting and all that all the time. So thank you guys for watching, tuning in. Please share us, like us, subscribe us, all that stuff, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, man, this is super fun, and like you said, is if we can give you some knowledge and help you feel more comfortable doing what you're doing, that's what we're here for, and it is all for fun, all in fun. You should always be prepared to bet how much you can afford to lose. That also makes it a little. I mean, I know that sounds like a kind of a negative spin on it, but you have, as much as this is for fun, right? We have to be realistic about it. So, if you're looking at your wallet and going, you know what, I can only afford to lose $50 this week. Well, then don't go over your bounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know some people that, I lost a bet and I got to wait a couple paychecks to pay it off or whatever. Like, I get it, dude, but you shouldn't have made that bet. Like, don't put yourself in that hole, because that's just something you got to worry about. And it for us, it makes betting fun when we're watching the game and we have a little bit of money on it. It's like we lose, it sucks, but whatever. It's not a big deal. But when you win, it's great. You get that a little adrenaline, but it's not. It just makes it more interesting. Not that it's not interesting. I could watch it without betting and be totally interested in it and be totally all that. It just gives it a little extra edge to it. But it's a different edge if you're like, man, if I lose this bet, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, you don't want that. That's not a good feeling. I've been there, and it's not a good feeling. So always do it with responsibility.
For sure, 100%. Well, we got to have our bets and we got to have our flavors of the week. So
something else you have to do with responsibility.
That's right. So I went a little bit off the board. I've got a little Pink Whitney and La Croix this week. Staying away from the beer right now, just for tonight, though. I plan on having a couple tomorrow while I'm watching my games. It's tasty, light, refreshing. Usually my go-to in the summer, but tonight it seemed like a good day to do it. So, yep, here we go.
Tonight when I was at the store, I literally almost picked that up. And I was like, oh, I should do this. I'm like, I'm going to go to beer. I wasn't feeling anything but beer tonight. But I almost did grab that.
That's a good choice
because that's yours. This week I am going with a local brewery, Santan Brewery, and I'm going with their Devil's Ale. For those of you that are out here in Arizona with me, they are out in Tempe, right by ASU. So that is a brew for the Sun Devils. It does have a Devil's taste. I think they nailed it. Like if you were talking about devil, you would. It's got a little kick to it, but a good one. As far as the taste, it kind of hits you right off the bat, but it doesn't stay with you. It's a really good drink. And for those of you that are out here, if you don't know Santan and Four Peaks is everywhere. I think I saw it out in California when I was with you. The guy there were two guys that started Four Peaks. One of them broke off, made Santan. So that's where Santan comes from. So they're both really good.
And I noticed that they don't have a Wildcat Ale because it probably tastes like piss because they're terrible.
Sorry, that one caught me. I agree. Although, I mean, they did almost win their first game tonight. But, all right.
Whoops. Well, let's talk about our picks. You had a decent week, right?
No, I didn't. The week
Oh,
before
whoops.
I had a great week, and then last week, and here's what happened: I put all my ducks on Buffalo,
Mm,
and Buffalo screwed the pooch. And I don't want to say they screwed the pooch. They played well, but they just weren't ready. I'm not worried about them. NFL is every week is such an overreaction on everything, both ways, good and bad. So I don't think, oh my God, they're the worst team in the league now because they lost. I'm not worried about them. There were some coaching mistakes. Josh Allen should have just went forward instead of
mhm,
stepping back and going, But be that as may, I put a lot of my bets had Buffalo in it, either teasing, money line, minus points. They lost outright, so I was screwed all over the place. So that really screwed me. But I did win one of my straight pick. I lost my Buffalo straight pick for 40, but I did win my Rams straight pick. That was 40 to win 10. So I got that. NCAA, I told you last week, I was terrible at college lately, and I gave it another try, and that didn't work.
mhm,
I am actually going to try it again this week, but not as much. Um, I lost my other parlays because my two other parlays, one for 20 and 25 because of Buffalo. My teaser, Buffalo and the Chargers both screwed me on that. I can't believe how bad the Chargers got rocked. My prop bet of Jacksonville plus 2.5 in the first half, 20 to win 17 came through. And Najee Harris had over 74.5 rushing yards. I think he was 84. I think he was something
mhm.
like that, 10 over. So my 31 me 24. So, and I do have to give you your props for calling that Tennessee was going to be close regardless. And that was a good call on your part. So I bet 215 after getting my money for the bet and my money back from the bet. I got back 141. So I
Mhm.
took a hit of 74. But overall, I'm still up. Bad weeks happen. It's going to happen. It is a roller coaster. You're not going to get them all right. And it happens. And I'm going to take my lumps and move on.
Yeah, you're still way up. So that's really good when you look at a big picture. You got to, and that's what you do, right? You accumulate a bankroll, and then play off the bankroll. And if something happens, like if you have a week that doesn't go nearly as well as you want it to, you still have that bankroll that you're working with. So it's kind of still you're still playing with house money, which is nice.
Agreed. Agreed. It's a good feeling.
Well, I won both my straight bets with the Raiders and Tennessee coming through. I lost my UCLA and Texas parlay, but I hit my Arizona Cleveland over and my Dallas money line parlay. That Dallas game was ridiculous. Um, I lost my teaser due to Iowa, probably like everybody else, because wow, they just crap the bed.
I know. Nobody
Um,
could believe that. And I was in Vegas and nobody could believe it.
Yeah, that was a joke. And then I lost to the Chargers as well. Um, I lost, even though I picked Tennessee on my straight bet. My prop bet, if you remember, was Buffalo winning by 1-13 because I thought Tennessee would keep it close. They did keep it close, but they actually won, and so I lost that bet. But I did hit my Stafford over 2.5 touchdowns, so that kind of washed out. I laid out 135 and I got 159 back, so I won 24. So that's good because it's another week I don't have to go to the ATM, and a win is a win, right? I
A
mean,
win is a win. That's what I always say. A win is a win. And
I'm
and
never
I
going to
do,
apologize.
yeah, and I just want to point something out. A couple weeks ago we talked about the UCLA over.
Mhm.
You turned me on to the UCLA over. You said, "Dude, I'm going to bet this. Chip Kelly's just running those overs up." And I jumped on that train, and they've
Mhm.
been hitting, they've been hitting, they've been hitting. And then last week they didn't. They didn't cover
Yeah.
the over. But that's one of those when you find something that is working. It, it's going to work. Like I'm telling you right now, one of my picks, I'm going back to the UCLA over because yeah, one week it might not work, but you get a thing. And for those like I can just tell you right now, the hockey fans, and I am a fan of the Coyotes. Buffalo Sabres are our first team. Coyotes are the second team. Coyotes are in a tank year. So another one where I'm gonna bet against them pretty much every night. And while I'm not going to win every bet, I'm going to come out ahead in the long run. So if you can take that strategy behind it and know, hey, I'm going to win the UCLA over more times I'm going to lose. You just take the lumps and you lose and go, okay, move on. And I'm going to overall be up for it. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you go 10-2 against a number, that's you're still winning 8 more times than you're losing. So that's we talk about making sometimes small bets on these things, and let's just say that you're putting 25 on it every week. Well, that's over the span of the season, you're up $200. So that's more money that you can add to your bankroll for either next season or the spring sports.
Correct. So I started with $1,138.20, and I'm going to keep adding my 20 cents in there because I won that on a prop bet last year. That was Trevor Lawrence.
That's the Trevor Lawrence one, right?
Yep. So now I'm down to 1,064.20, and I know that I'm down, but I'm still up for the week plus the 100 weekly, so I'm doing pretty good. You started with 658, now I have 682 plus the weekly 100. So we're doing pretty good.
That's a good trend. I like that.
I agree. All right, so let's get into our straight picks.
Let's do it. You want to go first?
I'll start off because I'm pretty confident in this one this week. I got one straight pick, and I'm going Patriots. Look, they're playing the Jets, first of all. Jets are pretty terrible. We can't lie. But I'm taking them on the money line. I'm taking them $30 to win 10. So Vegas is pretty confident. The spread on this is 7. It hasn't moved much. I saw it at 7.5 at one point, but I think it started at 7, and right now it's currently at 7. So it tells me Vegas is pretty confident on it too. But let's just be honest, okay? New England should have beat Tampa Bay. Okay, they beat Tampa Bay. You're looking at a 500 team. The Jets won one game. They're not rolling or anything like that. The only thing that's not in my favor here, and that's why I think the minus money is only minus 300 and not more, is because, oddly enough, it's in New England. And Bill Belichick's record in New England is terrible this year. Okay, they're 0-4 outright at home, and they're 1-3 against the spread at home.
They've already played 4 home games?
Correct.
Holy cow.
So their home record is not very good. So in the long run, that doesn't look good. But it's the Jets, and the Patriots are a good team. They have, their defense is, they're not the best, but they're pretty good. They're I've seen them this year ranked as high as 10th. And I think right now they're down to 13th, but they're not a bad defense, dude. Mac Jones is, he's the good replacement for Brady. He's legit. And I hate to talk about New England so good because I'm a Bills fan and they've just shit on Buffalo they had 20 years in a row where they made him their bitch. So I hate talking about New England like this, but I do like Mac Jones, and I think they're legit. So I'm going to take my first win as New England winning.
Man, the Jets have not beaten the Patriots in nearly 6 years. I think that's solid pick. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we talked about Arizona, San Francisco, and just looking at history, right? And even though some things just Arizona has a good offense, but just for some reason when they play San Francisco, that seems to trend under the number. For some reason, the Jets, and sometimes it's close, sometimes it's a blowout, but they just can't seem to beat the Patriots no matter what. So, if you go back the last 20 matchups, you're going to win 18 of them, right? I don't see that trend changing at all.
It's except for some rare occasions, it's usually divisional games. That's where it comes in, is those divisional games, and this is a divisional game. So I don't think that's going to change this week.
I don't think so either. I think that's a solid pick.
So what's your straight pick?
Oh, well, I'm going back to the well again, with the Raiders on the money line against Philadelphia. I thought they made a statement last week against Denver. Um, like they pretty much beat the crap out of them. And it was something that was very much needed by that team. They need to put all this garbage behind them. And they did a good job of starting that. Um, and I think they just ride the momentum right now. Now they're at home. Um, they're the better team. They are the better team. They have the better quarterback. The running game isn't nearly as good as it should be. If they can establish the run against Philadelphia, and they can stop the run, which I know that seems really cliche because how do you win the game? Well, we have to run the football. But if they can do that, and that'll open up the deep passing game, this game should be over in the third period. If they can't establish a run, it's going to be a little bit tougher. That's one. I did take them on the money line, so no points involved. I just said $30 to win 20. You're the better team. Go out there and show it, and they should be able to do that on Sunday afternoon.
I agree. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Although, look, I am a Jalen Hurts fan. I think he's going to be a star. I think he's going to be good. The one problem I have, well, there's a couple problems. One problem I have, and I mentioned it last week. The first week after a team loses a coach in season is usually they're really good, and sure enough, what happened? They were really good. But now it's more of a matter of a fact thing, whereas before it's like, yeah, we could do this without him. And like I said, this is totally an outside perspective. I'm not in the locker room, but it just seems like when USC that happened this year, the first right out of the gate, they smoked. I forgot who they played right after the last coach. They smoked them, and big time underdog. They smoked them. Same thing Vegas did last week. And then the second week after no coach, it was like
it's a letdown, right?
Yeah, it's a letdown, and I think it's more a matter of a fact instead of like this big thing like we have to win. It's almost like you have something to rally around and do it that week. Well, that rally around point is gone, so to speak. I mean, Gruden's gone; he's not coming back. But like that first week of we can do it without him is gone, and now it's like okay, we're back to doing it. So that worries me a little bit, and the fact that Philly is starting to get a little success. It worries me a little bit, but I agree. I think the Raiders win this, but I think it's going to be close. But I think it's going to be a shootout. The one thing, like, I'm not knocking your pick, and I'm not agreeing with it. The one thing I would have done is the over, because 9 of 11 home games in Vegas have gone over. 9 of the past 11 home games. So, like, that's where I would have went with that game. I would have felt more confident doing that, but I don't. I mean, when you look at records 4-2 and 2-4, it should be Vegas all day. I'm looking to see what Vegas does week 2 without Gruden.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see what happens. See if that defense can play. I mean, they played pretty well last week. Denver got a garbage touchdown at the end, but for the most part, they played great. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I'm counting on the home crowd to give them a little bit of a boost, though, for sure.
I agree, and Denver's not the team we thought they were. I think at the beginning of the year, I took them to go over 7.5 wins, 8.5 wins, something like that, and I'm worried now. I think they're starting to come down to earth. It's going to come down to earth, and Teddy Bridgewater is starting to become the Teddy Bridgewater. And I always thought he was decent, but this year he came out way better than decent. And I think he's getting back to decent again. So teams are just figuring him out.
For sure. I think you're right there. All right. When I saw your parlay that you put down, I was impressed. So let's talk about that.
So when you do a parlay, once again, a parlay is putting, they call them legs or teams, where you're putting more than one bet together to make your odds better, but all of them have to hit. So my parlay this week, I have a 4-teamer or a 4-leg, whatever you want to call it, parlay. the more teams you put, the more better your odds are. I only put 4, but I also have 2 underdogs in there. Okay. And the 2 underdogs will increase my odds. Okay. Usually I use, like, I'll do one that's all favorites, and I think I have a teaser that's all favorites later.
Mhm.
But I will do all favorites because one favorite, it's like I did for New England, 30 to win 10. Well, if I put that with another favorite, now my odds go up and it might be 30 to win 20. And if I put another favorite, 30 to win 30, and so on and so forth. This one I have 2 underdogs in because I think there's 2 upsets coming this week. So I have Cincy, Carolina, Atlanta, and Indy all on the money line, which means I'm not taking a spread. So Cincy at Baltimore.
Is this a Lamar a Lamar bash time?
He's a stud. Okay, I'm
Yep.
not denying that. But a lot of what Baltimore can come back. You can't sleep on Baltimore in the last couple of minutes or whatever. It's different when you say that about Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or something like that, because they didn't put themselves in that hole to begin with. On most of the time, sometimes they do, but most of the
Mhm.
times they don't. Whereas I feel like every time Baltimore has to do it, they're doing it because Lamar put him in that situation. He had a fumble, he had an interception, he misread 3 times. Like
Mhm.
I feel like, and I don't want to say overrated because God, that kid is good. It's just he just does too much to put them in there. And dude, Burrow, 14 touchdown passes this year. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, if it wasn't for Dak Prescott, I think Burrow is the odds-on favorite to win comeback player of the year.
Mhm.
But and I actually put my money on Joe Burrow for that. But yeah, they lost to Green Bay barely. Like they're in it. They're young. I think next year is going to be their year. I don't think they're going to win it this year. Like go make a long run. But I think next year they got a chance to make a run. But they're getting there right now. But dude, Murray's out. That hurts. That puts more on Lamar, even though their running game is like one of the best, if not the best, in the
Mhm.
NFL. I'm looking right now; they're 4th in the NFL. Like, I don't think. I think this is the week where Cincinnati has. You said it before. They need to learn how to win. Well, they've learned about losing and how losing those close ones. I think they're ready to take that next step to win.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
that that's. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say that Cincinnati team reminds me of the 2001 Raider teams when they first got Rich Gannon. I think the season before they went to Super Bowl, they were 8-8, and I think the season before that they were 7-9. But they had to, and that was I think that was Gruden was his 3rd and 4th year there. That team had to learn how to win. Once they learned how to win, they went to the Super Bowl. Cincinnati reminds me a lot of that right now. They
Yeah.
have they got the players in place. You got your franchise quarterback. You and last year they had to learn how to play together. Now they're learning how to win. So yes, I agree. I don't think this is their year this year, but damn, they look really good. And I would not be surprised to see them win on Sunday in the
In
least.
in statistically wise, when you look at Cincinnati games, are 5-1 to the under this season. We're talking
Mhm.
about the under. They're 5-1 to the under, and all of their road games have gone under. That's not in Baltimore's wheelhouse to go
Mm-mm.
under. So
Nope.
I think they changed the game on Baltimore, and they changed it enough to put it in their favor. So that's why I think Cincinnati wins, and I think that's upset number 1. I will go to upset number 2, and I'm going to the Colts. Um, I understand they're in San Francisco, but it's Jimmy G and it's rain. It's going to be raining there. And I think when you talk about weather conditions and different things like in travel and stuff like that, look, I don't. We've said it before. Wentz is not the answer, but he's looked good the past couple of weeks, and Indy's starting to figure it out. Frank Reich's starting to put people in the right positions,
Mhm.
and I think this is the time where Indy goes, okay, we're going to put it all together and we're going to go ahead and win this. We've been so close for the past couple. And when we say Carson Wentz isn't good, look, 9 touchdowns to 1 interception with a 102 rating. Like, yeah, and I think a lot of being good has to do with winning, and that's not 100% on the quarterback, but it is a lot. And I don't. He's been in the league a long time. He knows how to win. He's been there. He's been to the end. But I just think he's got a better. I'll take him over Jimmy G, even though I don't want either one of them. I would take him over Jimmy G any day. Plus, when you look at Indy's rushing game, it's just a little bit better than San Francisco, and San Francisco's rush D is not very good. So, that's where I'm going to take Indy on that one.
Well, it's going to be like, yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be playing, but how long is he going to play? And then who are they going to bring in? Trey Lance? Are they going to bring in?
Trey Lance is out.
CJ Beathard? Are they going to bring in Nick Mullins? Are they going to bring in Steve Young? Who are they bringing in?
Lance is ruled out for this game. That's another reason I took Indy.
So that's a really good look. When we look at the Colts, it's hard because when you think of Colts quarterbacks, you automatically look at Peyton Manning. And so when you're trying to compare everybody to Peyton Manning, that's like you can't do that, and it's hard, but you can't do that. You look at how the year that Phillip Rivers had last year. I'm not the biggest Rivers fan, but he had a solid year. He took that team to the playoffs. Wentz has been injury prone, but when you look, go back to the Super Bowl season, he was a quarterback for most of the season. So Wentz has the pedigree to win. I think he's starting to get it together. I wouldn't be shocked if they win this game. I wouldn't be shocked if they win this game by at least 7 points. It should be a fun game to watch. And for your sake, for $30 to win 760, I really hope they come out and just pound.
I didn't even get to that. I know it's up on the screen, but I didn't even say that yet what it was. Look, once again, a little stat to go in my favor. Shanahan is 8-19-2 against the spread this far, and 2-7 outright in the last 9 of those games as a favorite. Okay, yeah. As a favorite. So it doesn't look good for him. It doesn't look good for San Francisco. And I think Shanahan's a great coach. I mean, Jimmy G did get him there. He did get him there. You got to give him that. But I don't think he's the quarterback. I think San Francisco gets better with a better quarterback.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that as well. I mean, all you can do is look at the past evidence, right? So what else you got on that parlay?
I got Carolina and Atlanta, both favorites. Look, Carolina's playing the Giants. The Giants are terrible. They're 0-3 against the spread at home this year. Jones is 4-11 against the spread in his career at home. No Saquon. It's all on Jones. He can't do it. Carolina's D is just too stout. I mean, they're not the greatest thing once again, but they're pretty darn good. And once again, QB play. He's not great, but he's definitely not terrible. He's way better than he was in New York. So I'm taking Carolina on that easy. In Atlanta, first of all, Miami, dude, I heard. I'm sure everybody's heard about Miami trading for Watson. Mm-hmm. That's pretty terrible when you got to trade for a guy who's got like 90 different sexual harassment cases against them, and you don't know what's going to happen, but you're still willing to trade for him. That tells you how bad your quarterbacks are between Brissett and Tua. And on top of that, I heard they were also talking to Cam. Now, what's sad about that whole thing is Cam's their best option out of those four, only because who knows what's going to happen with Watson. Yeah. But also a big play on this, on why I'm taking Atlanta, is because Miami is coming off a London game. And there's been 4 other teams that came off a London game without a bye. Usually you have a bye coming out of the London game. They did not get one. They're actually 2-2 against the spread and outright in those. I don't think Miami's good enough to make all that travel and come back and not have a bye and win a game. They're just not. Atlanta hasn't allowed a 300 pass this season. Um, Tua hasn't thrown for that, and I think they would need that to win, and it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's solid reasons why your parlay should come through for sure. And I love the way that you mixed up the favorites and the underdogs this week. That's a great strategy to increase your output there.
Well,
So
in the underdogs are not they're not or sorry, the favorites are not huge favorites. They're only 3 and 2.5 for the line.
mhm.
So their money line is not very big, which also keeps us big. So 30 to win 760, I'll take my chances.
Heck yes, I can't wait to see that come through.
All right, what are your parlays? We got a couple of them there.
I do. I have a Saturday and a Sunday. Saturday, I've got UCLA -1. I've got the Oklahoma State, Iowa State over 46.5. I got Texas Tech in a pick. Um, and that $20 would win me 118. I just want to look at the UCLA game really quick. You mentioned the over earlier and how that over's been clicking. I took the line -1. Oregon has probably been, they were really impressive against Ohio State. Since then, they've been not impressive at all. They beat a crap Arizona team by 20. They lost to Stanford. They beat a junk Cal team by 7 at home. I don't know why they're ranked 10th. There's just so much not to like about this Oregon team. I think UCLA just rolls them. I mean, DTR is playing unbelievable right now. He's healthy. He's got great offense with him. This is probably one of Chip Kelly's best college teams. Like, not just even his years at Oregon that were really, really good. This is probably his best all-around team. So I really like UCLA this weekend. The Oklahoma State Iowa State game, that had a really weird spread on it. Iowa State was favored by 7 as an unranked home team against Oklahoma State, who's ranked 8th. But I like the points here. I like the total here more than anything. And then Texas Tech is at home in a 9:00 start. I think they win that game against Kansas State. Kansas State's not very good, starting their backup quarterback again. So let's go with that and see what happens.
Well, I agree with you. I think Oregon is literally overranked.
Oh, I agree.
However, that back to the same thing with the Vegas game. Like, go with what you know is working. You know the over is working. Go with UCLA over. And I actually did later. So I'm really surprised you did that. As much as I agree with you, their ranking, we all know their ranking is still based on that freaking Ohio State game, and Ohio State is not as good as their rank. Like,
No.
so I agree with you. It looks winnable, but how we said it, we were talking earlier before the show about how, like, so a lot of these college lines don't make sense, but in the long run, you got to sit back and go, Vegas is not wrong a lot.
True.
They're not. And so there's got to be a reason, something we're not seeing, something we're not smart enough to see. And so that scares me. So that's why I always try to go with what I can. But I mean, you make convincing points, and it's hard to argue. Man, that scares me. I like the over in the OSU ISU game. OSU might get them themselves. And once again, CTU is easy win. Easy win. So I like
really
it. 20 to win 118 is I'll take that all day long.
It's solid. And then for Sunday, I went with Cincinnati as well. I didn't take them on the money line. I took them with the 6. And then I took Tennessee. I think they just keep rolling. They've got Kansas City this weekend. So another tough test for them. But man, they looked really good on Monday. I see that continuing. And with the Cincinnati-Baltimore game, it just seems like Baltimore plays okay, so last week they blew out the Chargers, but they played a close game in their opener. They played a close game against Detroit. They just seem to play close games. And so I like Cincinnati Cincinnati, I think, is trending upward. I like Cincinnati to cover that 6 on the road.
I agree, obviously, on Cincinnati. Tennessee, In your favor, Kansas City's 4-13 against the spread in their last 17 games. Like,
Yeah.
that bodes well for you. However, my big worry on this game is it's almost a letdown game.
It is.
Tennessee had to really boost themselves up to beat Buffalo last week, and they did. And Kansas City's D sucks. We've talked about that. We've talked about people are figuring out Mahomes, making him stay in the pocket and not letting it. And I think Tennessee can do the same thing again. I just don't know that they have it in them to get those two big wins in a row that they need. I don't know that they're there yet. If they are, look out. I think if they can beat Kansas City this year, they're a true this week. Excuse me, they're a true contender, and they really are going to go far. It wasn't just a one, and I don't want to call it a fluke. I mean, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take, but I didn't put them in the Final Four. My Final Four, and what I thought last week, I'm still not putting them in what I think my Final Four is this week. But if they win in KC this week, it's in Tennessee. But if they beat KC this week after KC coming off a win, and them on a short week, Tennessee on a short week, like I don't know, they got to be put in that talk. So that's my worry there, especially only getting 4.5. If they were getting 7-10, then I'd probably take them. 4.5. Oof.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that might be a good pick to tease up.
I agree. Although I'm angry at them, so I'm not touching Tennessee. Still got this week I got a little hurt feeling. So rooting for them this week is not in the cards.
That's all right. It happens, right? You know me, I'm a hate watcher sometimes, so I love hate watching the Chargers more than anything. All right, you want to go teasers now?
Yeah, let's go teasers. Remember, teasers,
Cool.
You are changing the line in your favor, and you can change it whatever you choose, 6, 7, 10, whatever you choose. We always do a standard 6. That's the normal. The higher you tease it, the worse your odds are. So teasing at 6 is going to be your best odds as a teaser. But teasing, the same parlay and normal versus the same teaser is going to be way less odds. So I personally usually try to put more teams in the teaser. And I got a good one this week, but I'm going to go with my first one. I'm going to go with my small one. I'm splitting Saturday and Sunday. We talked about Oregon, UCLA over, the over right now is 60.5. I tease it down to 54.5. Once again, for that UCLA, they just always seem to go over games. Oregon's not, like we said, they're not great, but they're going to score some points, and so is UCLA. If Oregon can pull out 3 scores, I think it's a win because I think UCLA gets at least 4. At least. Hawaii, sorry, I zoned out there for a second. Hawaii minus 12. New Mexico State traveling to the spot. New Mexico State's terrible. Flying to Hawaii is not going to be any more in their favor. So I'm taking Hawaii there, minus 12, down from 18. Cincy, I already think I think they're upset one of the week. So if I can get them at plus 12, hell yeah. So even if they don't win, they are definitely not going to win by more than or lose by more than a score. So I'm going to take them plus 12 there. And then Green Bay, minus 3. Washington is terrible. They're 1-5 against the spread this season. 0-3 as an underdog. Ron Rivera's 0-4-1 against the spread as an underdog over 7 since he's been in Washington. Green Bay is 16-2 at home under LaFleur. Like they're gonna. I could put them in a pleaser if I wanted to. That would be a good game this week to please. Pleasing goes the other way, but we'll talk about that later. But my $20 is going to win me 50 on those 4.
That's solid, and you know what that is? That's a good card to get some money back in case something goes a little sideways on your other ones. So that's a really good one.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
All right, let's see the monster.
I got a monster this week, and it's funny. First of all, it's a 10-team teaser. It's $20 to win 500. Let me say that again, 10 teams. I need all 10 of these teams to win for my $20 to win me 500. Now, if you remember, back to my first parlay, I only had 4 teams, and it was $30 to win 760. So you can see how the teasing takes the odds less in my favor. And I just want to take 1 second to explain that the fact that even though a lot of people get, well, odds are money line, odds are money. No. You still have odds on your, even if you're not teasing or pleasing, even if you're just taking, Cincy +6, there's still odds on that, on how much money you have to lay down. So don't forget that a lot of people get confused when it's like, well, what are the odds on that? Well, it's, 100 to win, 110 to win 100. No. Like how much, since he gets 100 points, no, that's the spread. The odds, you still have odds on those. So don't get confused by that. All right, so my 10-teamer, Cincy. I already talked about Cincy. Cincy +12, Carolina +3, Green Bay -3, Atlanta +3.5, New England -1. We've already talked about all those games. My other 5 we haven't talked about. I'm going to take the Rams -10.5 against Detroit. Double-digit favorites are 8-0 outright and 6-2 against the spread this year. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams because I don't think Detroit is going to put together anything. Running back out, like they're not going to put it together, and I kind of sort of am starting to feel bad for Goff because he's not and I mean that wholeheartedly. Like he's not great, but he is not like the worst quarterback in the league, and it's looking that way for him right now. Anyway, so that's I'm taking the Rams -10.5, Tampa Bay -5.5. I don't know if you heard the stat. I heard this yesterday, and I knew it, but it never actually dawned on me till I heard it. This is the biggest age gap in starting quarterbacks in NFL history. The biggest age gap in starting quarterbacks in NFL history.
Let me guess. Justin Fields probably wasn't even born when Tom Brady started.
Yeah, you got it. And guys, Tampa Bay is going to roll them. Brady's going to show them what's up, even without Gronk. If Gronk were there, dude, I think it would have been even worse. But instead of taking -11.5, I'm going to take -5.5. And I'm going to go ahead and run with that because, like I said, they're going to absolutely destroy them. Arizona. You guys, you know how I feel about Arizona. But after last week, I did promise a good friend of mine I would give them love. I got the Cardinals jersey on. I'm wearing them. I'm giving them love. They are -18 this week. Houston is god-awful. I think Arizona could beat them by 30. So I'm going to take them at -12. Dude, Arizona's just balling right now.
They are.
I hate to admit it. God, I hate to admit, but they are. They look so good on both sides of the ball. I was criticizing them. I'm like, they beat, when they beat Cleveland, their offensive line was terrible. They were, missing everybody, and Arizona just made them look like paper.
Yeah.
And then Cleveland comes back last night, and just their offensive line looks dominant. Now I understand Denver's not a great team, but they just look so dominant. I'm like, shit, I got to go back and rethink how I evaluated that Arizona game. I mean, they were just so down. They're so dominant on both sides of the ball. They're just, God, they're so legit right now, and I hate to do it. And they did that without Cliff there. I mean, he was everything they did. Was on, but they're just too good right now. They're I could list you a million stats right now that make them so dominant. I don't even need to. I still will stand by. I don't think they're going to go undefeated this year just because it's so hard to go undefeated.
I agree.
It is, especially with an extra game. It's just so hard. And I'm not saying they don't have the team to do it because I think they do. It's just I don't think a lot of Arizona Cardinals fans, just like Bills fans, when you're this good, you wait for the bottom to drop out and you wait to be bad. I don't think that's coming for Arizona. Okay, I don't think they're going to lose one, maybe 2 or 3 games, but I don't consider that the bottom dropping out. When you talk about how many points they've allowed, how many their takeaway giveaway margin, their sacks, their defense is stout. When everybody talks about Kyler Murray, it's like, yeah, he's doing it, but now your defense is doing it too. And they're just I refuse to bet against them at this point.
Yeah.
Unless there's something that glowingly stands out. If Murray goes down, though, they're done. Colt McCoy can't run that. The only reason I worry about this spread is exactly that. If they get up by too much, they're going to put Colt McCoy in, and then Houston may be able to get backdoor touchdowns on him because I don't think he can roll it. But that's my only worry there. But I think they do it well. Murray might not play an entire half. Who knows? Indy already talked about +10. And then your Raiders, I agree with you in more of an aspect of I'm going to take the +3 because I think it's going to be close because it's going to be an under game, and I'll take them on plus money.
Yeah, that's going to be a monster when it hits there. I love all those. I love all those picks. You really make some good reasons for them. Yeah, the Rams one is. I think we have to look at the Rams and the Lions as teams at different levels here. The Rams are win now, and the Lions are win in 2 years, and I think that's how they're approaching the season. So if Goff is still growing, he's learning a new system, but Stafford's like, I can do it. I'm mature enough. I can win now. So yeah, I don't see that game being much of a game.
Yeah, the game of the trade. It's almost there's almost two games going on that are kind of both the game of the trades. When you talk about Houston, Arizona, I know we talked about it when it happened. It's like, the fuck are you doing giving up Hopkins for David Johnson? Like, what are you, in what world do you think that's an even trade? Like, I almost feel that way that with the Detroit Rams, like, in what world did you think that was an even trade? And maybe, like you're saying, they're planning for the future, but I still don't think Goff is the future. Like, I don't think he's fully eclipsed, but I don't think he's the future. Like, both of those two games, I'm like, you're looking at the dominant one that won the trade, and it wasn't even a guess. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
But I think we're also going to look at Goff, and it kind of stinks because it's not his fault. I mean, he was the number one pick, so it's like now you're measured against other number one picks, and maybe he shouldn't have been the number one pick. If he has a solid 15-year career and leads his team to 4 or 5 playoff appearances, I mean, he's already led a team to a Super Bowl. Granted, it was probably on the heels of the defense, but he got him there. So, and then they just had 0 against the Patriots.
Well, I think he's the Carson Wentz, Jimmy G. He's that same era where you got him there, but that was on the heels of your defense or your running back or whatever, and not you've kind of eclipsed. I don't know. That's just me. All right, what do you got going on in your teasers here?
All right, well, I got a couple of. I think I got 3 of them here. I got a Saturday teaser. I've got BYU +2 and Pullman against Washington State. I got Virginia Tech against Syracuse. I've got Colorado +14.5 against Crappy Cal. Oklahoma State +13 against Iowa State, and San Diego State +9 against the Air Force. $20 to win 84 there. I really like the Oklahoma State one because, I expect that game to. I took the over in a previous ticket. I expect Oklahoma State to come out and show why. I think they can come into this game with a little bit of chip on their shoulder and disrespect. I'm sure they don't. The coaches don't look at the lines or whatever. But, you're going in as an underdog, as the 8th ranked team in the nation. You're going to have something to prove. And then San Diego State, I took them +9. I expect that to be a low-scoring game. You got 2 teams who are going to run the football religiously in this game. The expected total in this game is 39. I think San Diego State is good enough to cover a 9-point spread on the road in this game.
Well, that might be the lowest over under this year in college.
Holy smokes! And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it hit. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 2017 game or something like that. These
I
teams are just going
agree.
to run.
I agree.
So
I hate you. I hate that you had to bet against the orange. I always give my home teams some loving, but I think you're right there. We talked about the college lines being crazy. I'm really surprised that Colorado is that much of a dog.
mhm,
I once again they know something we don't.
yeah.
So teasing them is a good way to take it. So I like it. I think you're good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens on Saturday. On Sunday, I kind of stole some of yours. I took Green Bay -3, Miami +8.5, and New England -1. I know you went the other way on Miami. Um, I think we can both win here. Um, I pretty much took them because they're at home, and I think they're gonna. I think they can bounce back. They had a brutal loss last week. I,
Oh, that was okay. They're not. I'm sorry, you're gonna lose this, and I love you, and I love you, but you're gonna lose this, dude. Dude, and I love the New England part of that. I love the Green Bay part of it. There, have you watched the Miami game? I mean, you lost
that's a
to
great
Jacksonville.
point.
You gave Jacksonville their first win in it's them and U of A are waiting for their first win in 900 years, and you lost in London. You did it too. Like in here, you might have a shot. Atlanta is not playing the way they have, the way that we think. We both agree that they should be playing better than they are, but
Mhm.
hey, Miami coming off a short. I don't want to say short week. They're coming back from London without a bye. Like
Mhm.
they are not equipped. They're not equipped enough to handle a normal freaking week. They weren't equipped enough to go there and beat a terrible not terrible, but a not good Jacksonville
No,
team. They're not equipped to come back and come beat an Atlanta team with Matty Ice at the helm. And Atlanta's actually starting to get going and figure out what they should be doing. Like I'm sorry, I don't see it any which way. And you're right, we could both win, and for your sake, I hope we do. I just don't see it.
I just remember that game they played against Vegas, and they actually looked. I think that was the first game that Brissett started for them this season, and they looked. I mean, they jumped out 14-0 like it was nothing, and then Vegas scored 25 in a row, and then they came back and scored 14 in a row, and took that game to overtime. So I keep
But
thinking that
that
that's
was
going to be. I keep
no. Go
thinking
ahead.
that's the Miami team I expect to see.
But you're not going to. That was week one with Brissett, and Buffalo wasn't prepared for Brissett, but they still shut him out. Um, that tells you how bad he is. And then Vegas, I think they weren't ready for what Brissett was planning on doing.
Mhm.
When you're looking at film for Brissett, you're looking at indie film, and Miami's system is totally different. So I think they weren't ready for that, and that's why that happened. Um, I think you're giving them too much credit for one game.
Could be. Could be. You could be right.
All right,
Well,
what's
let's
your
get
last
well.
teaser?
I could be depressed in the AM, and then I'll go to the PM, and I'm basically just taking favorites here: Rams, Cardinals, Tampa Bay. For all the reasons that you stated earlier, I'm very excited to not be able to watch the Cardinals this week because I get the Rams instead. Um, but man, you're right. The Arizona is playing so well right now. It's unbelievable. Um, so yeah, I just took the three favorites there, try to get some money back. Maybe what it does is it makes up for the three that I'm going to lose in the morning. So
I
that way I
agree.
wash out on the teasers on Sunday.
Yeah, and God, I never hope for you, but sometimes yeah, God. But I like that one. Of course, obviously you picked some of the same ones I did, so I love it. All right, let's move on to our prop bets. Remember, prop bets are just a player is doing this or a team is doing that or whatever instead of just the outcome of the game.
Mhm.
Um, so I am going back. I'm giving the Cardinals love. Jason, I love you, brother. I'm giving your Cardinals your love, just like I promised you I would. Kyler Murray's going to have over 2.5 passing touchdowns. $20 is going to win me 26. Once again, the only worry I worry about is they're going to run. They're going to get the runs. The rushing yards are going to get the rushing touchdowns. And if they pull Kyler at like halftime, he might only have 2 passing touchdowns. So I slightly worry about that a little bit. But I still think he gets 3 or 4. And on that same train, D-Hop, at least 1 touchdown. I'm going to put $50 on it that he has at least 1 touchdown, and that 50 is going to win me 40. He's going against his former team. What were you thinking trading me? Screw you. Here we go. I'm gonna, and he might score 3. But I'm at least 1, and I'm a winner.
Yeah, you could hit both of those in the first quarter. Seriously, I mean, it could be over that.
You're absolutely right.
And it's just one of those it's just one of those games, man, where it's going to be so one-sided that, like you said, you put in Colt McCoy or Streveler or freaking Kent Graham. Who knows who they're going to put in right in the third and fourth if it gets to that point. But then you look at it too, and that would be really good for Arizona because now you're getting your starters rest, right? And
well, I agree. And the only thing I worry about here, and I'm not knocking Arizona on this, but I am saying this is more of a testament to how bad Houston is I'm not even looking at this as a trap game. I mean, it has the markings of a trap game. You got 6-0 going versus a terrible Houston, it has the markings of a trap game. However, Houston is just too terrible, and that's not me knocking Arizona. That's just me saying that Houston's so terrible. I don't care who it is, and you can call it a trap game all you want. Arizona's still going to win by 2 touchdowns easily, even if it is a trap game for them. That's the trap. If Arizona only wins by 2 touchdowns, then you know it's a trap game.
Well, yeah, because they got the Packers on Thursday, so it's this 100% could be a trap game for them. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't see it happening. I also, on the prop bets, went on the Arizona train. I took them to score over 33 points. And then I went to the Sunday night game, and I have Wentz throwing over 246 passing yards. So just small little bets on those, $11 each, 1 to win 10, 1 to win 13. If Wentz can throw the average for the season, his average this year is about 254 yards per game. If Wentz can throw his average, I should be a winner there. And then Arizona is just Arizona. I think we're just piling on at this point, and so it is what it is.
Yeah, I'll easily call 7-0 on them right now, regardless of betting. The Wentz one, when you first told me about that, I go no, and then you told me that average, and I go, wow, okay, I can get on that train. I'm with you there, so I think you're a winner there. Real quick, I mentioned this earlier, so I figured I wanted to throw this out there. I don't want to go so far as to say who the Super Bowl's going to be, who the teams are going to be. I did say it before. I could see it being Arizona Buffalo, but I thought it was more accurate to throw my top 4 in, just because I did throw that Arizona Buffalo scenario out. So I'm going to start throwing my top 4 out, and it's a fluid. It's going to change every week, maybe not. But right now, my final 4, and I'm not saying this is the order of how good they are. I'm saying this is who my final 4. NFC is Arizona, Dallas. AFC is Buffalo, and I'm going to say it, Baltimore. That's going to be the Final 4 this year. That's going to be the Final 4. Even though what we said earlier, I still think Baltimore can figure it out to be a Final 4, as long as they don't play Buffalo in there. So that's what I'm seeing as a Final 4. I just wanted to throw that in there a little bit because somebody asked me about that, so I wanted to throw that in there. So
that would be an incredible NFC Championship game just because of they were in the same division for so long, and then they moved out of the East and got put in the West, and just the history between how many classic. I mean, even when the Cardinals were crap, they used to play the Cowboys so close, and so I think that would be a fun game.
Yeah, I got a lot of stories when I went to ASU and Dallas played there. Yeah, we can talk about that, but all right, everybody. That is the conclusion of our Week 7 edition. Once again, BS, I love you, brother. It was
Love you,
fun.
man.
I look forward to this every week. I can't wait to do this someday. This is going to be our job, and I'm going to love it. So I hope everybody at home, I hope you guys have a great weekend. We love having you. We love hearing from you. So please keep that coming. You can email, text, call, any of that stuff. Please like, subscribe, share, get the word out so we can do this more. We can do it longer, more times a week, stuff like that. We want to do that. So please make it so we can. Have a great week, guys.
Have a great one.